So guys, what we're talking about today is we're going to talk about the Surefire X300 Ultra a little bit. We're going to talk about the Surefire XC1A a little bit. We're going to talk about the XC1, but what we're really here to talk about is this little ingenious beauty, the XC1B, okay? Now, I don't want this to become a super long-winded review, but we all fall victim to the same thing, okay? We want stuff that's awesome. We want, and I get it, like I get it better than anybody. We want any one of these platforms that we have to be just awesome. We want it to be dead nuts reliable. We always want it to work, which I get it again. Why would you not want it to work every time? Last but not least, we want it for nothing. We're all the same way. We love to brag about how much a light costs, or we love to brag about how much a knife costs. But we all come from the same school, and it's all, dude, you know what I paid for it? Or it's, well, you know, if you paid nothing for it, you want to brag about how much you got it for. If you paid full price for it, you want everyone to know that it's a $600 light or a $400 light. That being said, I really wanted to give the XC1A a shout out because the XC1 disappointed me, okay? The XC1 disappointed me on more than one occasion. Now I'm going to talk about that a little bit, and I'm going to tell you why you should definitely consider getting the XC1B and get it today, if not tomorrow. On the XC1, there wasn't a detent on the offside. There was on the onside. So what happened is you put it on and you rack your slide, or at least in my experience, just racking the slide would literally turn it off. So what they did on the A, not the XC1, but the XC1A, is now there's a detent on the on position and on the off position, okay? Which is really cool. So if you get one of these in your hands, if you get one of these XC1s, and you notice that when you first push it, there's a detent, when you push it after that, there's not, back and forth, you know that it's an XC1. It's not an XC1A, and it's not an XC1B. That being said, I had an XC1 and I sent it in, and Surefire was so cool about it. They were like, dude, listen, this hasn't even come out yet, which I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this. They were like, this hasn't even come out yet. This is months and months and months ago. But we're really sorry that you had this issue. So we're going to hook you up. We're going to send you a brand new XC1B, but you can't do a review, you can't tell anybody, and you pretty much for the next couple months have to sit on it. So that's what I did. They didn't even have really a box for it or packaging. They just had a little box. They had the instructions for it, and it had a little sticker that said XC1B. It didn't even have a box yet. So I don't know if they're redoing their packaging. By the time this video comes out, you may see that. But I was so happy that they did that, because Surefire is awesome to do that, that instead of giving me some song and dance like, hey, down the road we'll give you one, or instead of, well, we're going to send you one of the new XC1As, they were like, listen, we're coming out with something that's really, really, really cool, and it touches on another issue that we've seen in combat and other people in testing and training and that and forward. And that is that instantaneous, you sweep it once really, really, really fast, and it stays on. It stays illuminated. You touch it, it goes off. Or you can take your hands off master control and turn around and do it manual like that. Why is that important? Well, if I have this thing pressed out, if I have this thing anywhere, I don't want to take my hand and do that. And nobody's fingers, I don't know if they designed it thinking that people's fingers were longer than they are, because that doesn't work for me. I feel like some kind of weird lobster. What's really, really cool and ingenious about this is you literally flick that on and off instantaneously. Or if you hold it for any duration, it's momentary on. So now, unlike the XC1A, that if you hit it fast, it just goes on and off, it's only a momentary contact switch, they've overcome that too. Now, which is badass, in my opinion, you flick it once, real fast, it knows, and it's like, hey, lights on. You flick it off, lights off. If you hold it for any amount of time at all, it knows that you're just doing some kind of momentary drill, and it's not going to hang you up and give you that. So if you're here and you turn it on, pull the trigger, rack the slide a million times, it doesn't go off. It doesn't fail. It's just there. So whatever detent work they did here, they also did something on this end that doesn't confuse your finger or anything that you're doing when you brush it, which is really cool to me because I don't know how that would work. I don't know how you could make it to where the slightest touch of your finger on here, I mean, you got to use a little bit of force. I mean, if you took a pocket knife and tapped on it, it might come on, it might not. You know, it might come on, it might not. It's kind of 50-50. But for whatever reason, if you touch it with your finger, they cut hair so closely that it kind of knows. It's almost like an iPhone with a fingerprint. But if I turn it on that way and I wrap this out a million times, nothing happens. It's there, it's on, it's safe. So I'm going to shoot you over right now. I'm going to show you some spill videos outside. What I did is I set up my heavy bag real close to the door so that you can actually see danger close, danger far. Okay guys, so right off the bat, XC1A, good coverage up front, good coverage deep. But the second I kick on the XC1B here, you notice the leaves are brighter, the white on the shed is brighter, the grass is greener, and it's doing a number on the heavy bag up front. Okay, that extra 300 lumens is really helping you up close and far. It doesn't kind of change or work one way or the other. It just helps the overall picture of things. Now, the second I kick on the 300 Ultra here by Surefire, you notice that it's just got a much tighter, more focused beam. Again, not knocking the Surefire 300 Ultra. I love the light, but for its purposes, in the office environment, in a home environment like we're going to see here, I've got to go with this XC1A, okay? This XC1A, great coverage, great field of vision. Okay, there's not a hot spot that's overbearing. You still see to the left of it, you still see to the right of it, could easily manipulate it down a corner, down an office entry. Go to the XC1B over here, and as soon as you kick it on, again, perfect choice. A little bit brighter hot spot, but again, in an environment like this, perfect light, very concealable, very practical, very easy to maneuver with. You can see the whole area, especially if you're lighting up a target or two. Moving on to the X300 Ultra here, you notice that it's just, again, a very bright spot. Guys, this is only about 10 feet, okay? For that beam to be that small at 10 feet, it's only gonna get smaller the longer distances you are using it. Or excuse me, it's only going to get bigger in the longer distances, but up close and personal, I don't need a beam that's tight and focused, okay? I'd rather have something like what comes in here with the XC1B. I'd rather have that field of vision than that focused beam like you see here with the 300 Ultra. For this environment, guys, I'd love the 300 Ultra in the field, but for everyday carry, office, home, personal, got to go with the XC1. So the question stands, who should buy a Surefire? I think maybe you should. If you've ever complained about the X300 switch, I think you should buy an XC1. If you've ever complained about it being a beam instead of a spill shot or a flood, I think you should buy the XC1. If you've ever been hanging out with your buddies, drinking beers as guys will do, and you're like, man, you know, if somebody would just make a weapon light that pretty much didn't take up any extra holster space, excuse me, it was cheap. It was like $250. It wasn't like $400. Hell, maybe $200. It had a momentary on, momentary off. It didn't shut off when you fired the gun, and it ran on AAA batteries. They like corner the market. If you've ever had that conversation with one of your gun buddies, you should buy the XC1. Because it's not good, it's great. I feel like Tony the Tiger. I can't brag enough on the XC1. And that's not because I got one from Surefire. I bought one. Okay? I bought an XC1. Not an XC1A or an XC1B, an XC1. And it failed. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It shit the bed on me. Every time I racked the slide, the light would go off. Every time that I pulled the trigger, the light would go off. This isn't live fire, guys. This is literally doing drills, teaching people, teaching classes. Light would go on its own. That's why they put the detents in it. That's why they've changed this. And now they're on version B, okay? They have made this light, I mean, I don't want to use the pun Surefire, but it is sure to fire. It is legitimately, God, that sounded terrible, didn't it? It is legitimately trustworthy. And that's coming from someone who, I don't know if you guys have ever had that situation. If something's failed one time and it was a fluke, I'm so skeptical. I'm always super, super skeptical. I don't want to take that chance. But the light is solid, guys. I can't stress enough. Every single day I use this light. I use this light probably 20 times a day. Is the battery life phenomenal? No, it's not. But you can find a AAA literally anywhere. And something I will tell you is that the AAAs, they run this. Even if it's cheap, even if it's out of a remote, even if it's something that didn't power well. And I'm going to add the video on here. When mine failed earlier, I left it on just to run it for a while because I like to run my batteries dead every now and again and see how something performs. I don't know if it's a feature that Surefire did or it just kind of ended up happening, but it was strobing. And it wasn't a strobe like you would get from, you know, an Enforce WMLX or anything like that, or a Streamlight TLR2S. It was a strobe that was just enough that if I were somewhere and shit got bad, and all of a sudden I saw it strobe once or twice, it probably gave 45 seconds before it died, okay? Now to me, 45 seconds is time enough for me to A, retreat, B, find somewhere where I can hopefully defend, C, get a light or get to a light source. I mean, there's just so many options that I can probably assess and figure out where to go and what to do. And even if it was a fluke, then it was an evil genius mistake. Because the idea that now I've got a flash and it's just flashing enough so that I can find my way, but I know that, hey, this thing is going to go off, that's genius. Who should get a Surefire XC1? You should. You can thank me later. But I promise you, if you carry a holster rig like this or something, yeah, you're going to notice the difference. T-Rex arms, by the way, if you don't like their stuff, well, you probably didn't get it for free. I didn't, but I still like their stuff. That was literally not a dig at T-Rex arms. I think it's probably one of the most ingeniously named companies ever. Anyway, it literally takes up no real estate in your holster, guys. It literally takes up none. Anybody that needs a weapon light, anybody that doesn't need a weapon light, it's a really good accessory. Okay, we touched on it earlier in the video. Everybody wants to brag about their gun. Everybody needs an Alpha Wolf barrel, a Zev slide, RMRs, this, that, and the other thing. I can't stress it enough, guys. The most practical upgrade that you can do to your Glock is not an RMR. It's not suppressor height sights. It's not a threaded barrel. It's not an enlarged takedown lever. It's not an extended magazine release or an extended slide release or slide stop. It's not stippling your frame. It's a light. Surefire literally made it idiot proof. You touch it, it goes on. Well, excuse me, wrong one. Surefire XC1B. You touch it, it goes on. You touch it, it goes off. It doesn't get any simpler than that. And the cool thing about it is, it's under 300 bucks, guys. It's $250 or $269, $200. It's so easy to use. You've got a AAA battery, not a CR123, not an 18650. Not even a AA, a AAA battery, okay? And it's so easy to maintain. You just take a dime, which you can find anywhere, and take it apart. You don't even need tools. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm more likely to find some change on the ground or have a dime in my pocket than have a screwdriver on me. Everything about this weapon light is ingenious. Absolutely ingenious. And guys, I can't stress it enough. This is from someone who paid money for it, who paid money for 3 of them actually, and had 2 of them fail. I want you to really think about that when I brag on this light. I paid for 3 of them, 2 of them failed, 1 of them I sent back. And that's how I ended up, as I mentioned earlier, with that XC1B, okay? If that's my experience with it, and I'm that sold on it, try it. You can thank me later. Try it. Or you can thank Surefire, but thank me too. Hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be doing a lot more of this crap.